Good evening, everyone out there. This is Diana Brandl. I'm speaking to you from Berlin, Germany, and I hope you are ready for another session of AdminChat. It's been quite a while since I joined with a session the last time, but of course I said yes when Matthew reached out to me and said, don't you want to join us with another session? And it's been wonderful to see this new format. I really like it. And I hope there are many out there tonight listening and watching. And let's get started. As I said, I have my home base in Berlin. Actually, I'm living now in Berlin since 2009. It's our home base, my husband and I, and our little dog Phoebe. We live outside the city, half an hour outside in the countryside. Berlin is a huge city. I adore it, but I would never ever live in the city. So we were lucky to find a nice spot outside the city, and whoever makes their way to Berlin one time, please make sure to reach out because the city has a lot to offer. Happy to be your guide. So much history, so much culture, so much art in the city. It is really, really worth a trip, and it's a very affordable city. So make sure you have Berlin on your wish list. And yes, if you have any plans to come over, just reach out to me and I'm happy to give you some recommendations. Please let me briefly introduce myself. I have a degree in International Administration and Management, focusing in office management. I have been doing this job now for 17 years. I have been working mainly for C-level executives, various companies, big players like Sony, but also the startup scene here in Berlin, Mr. Specs, which is a very successful European online optician, meaning selling glasses and sunglasses and contact lenses over the internet. So it's an e-commerce company. I've been working there with millennial managers, so it was a totally new experience to really dive into this new field of being an assistant to a millennial manager. I love to communicate. I love to network. I've been a member of IMA since 2006. The association is called International Management Assistants. I'm also a member of many other associations, but IMA has been part of my life since 2006. I've been part of the German National Board. I'm also chairing the regional group here in Berlin for many years now. And it's just wonderful to have a regional network, to have a national network, and even the international network, which IMA provides us all. I started my blog end of 2016. It's called the Socialistic Projects. Happy to invite you to take a look at the blog on Facebook. I now work as a freelance executive assistant, serving various clients on an interim contract. I also speak a lot. I train and I coach assistants all over the world. I love to write. This is one of the reasons why I started my blog, and I also write a lot for various magazines. Yes, and as I said, I'm absolutely a networking junkie. I like to meet people. I like to connect with people. I like to hear their stories. I like to bring their stories to my blog. I like to showcase our wonderful industry on my blog, and this is what's all about my profile. So what are we going to talk about tonight? How to onboard a new executive. And I'm sure many of you out there have experienced this situation before. I have experienced it 2 times actually, if I remember right. And there was one special moment when this happened, which actually changed my professional life dramatically. I do remember that moment when a few years back, when I was working for an international company, when I was working for the chief sales officer, member of the board. And it was one of these normal advisory board meetings. I organized everything. Everything was absolutely running fine. And then after the last agenda item, my boss was fired. All of a sudden, he was gone. The same moment, we had to pack all his things. He had to leave the office. We had to take away the laptop, the mobile phone, all these things happened, and I was in the middle of everything. I had to help him, I had to be by his side, I had to comfort him, and on the other hand, I had to be there, basically performing my job. Of course, everyone was in a shock. The whole team was in a shock because he was a very popular boss, and it was just a political game, to be honest, that he was basically kicked out of the company. But this was the situation, and I had to deal with it. And I was even more scared because I've been a youngster in the company. I joined the company only a year ago. And then I lost my boss, and I connected with him very easily and very fast. So it was really, really a very emotional moment, not only for me, but for all of us. So how do you deal with these kind of situations? I mean, honestly, there's no time to cry over it, because the moment your boss is leaving, you know that there's a new boss coming, and you need to prepare everything for this new manager, because it's not his fault or not her fault. But you want to act as a professional, and you want to prepare everything properly. So it is, although it is quite hard, it is time to put the emotions aside and to focus on your job and just to get things done and to prepare a wonderful onboarding for your new executive. And this is what we're going to talk about today, because all these things I did, maybe they are useful to share them with you, because you might have a situation like that coming up, or you never know what's going to happen, because these situations we usually don't know what is happening in the background. Although we do know a lot, we executive assistants, I would say we really have access to many informations, but when it comes to our managers and when it comes to some political games, I think it is still quite difficult to really understand why such situations are taken. So, congratulations, you just won a new boss. I'm sure, you know, when these things are happening and you're losing a fantastic sparring partner, it is something you are just not thrilled about. Thinking about, oh my goodness, there's a new manager coming. I have so much work to do with this new manager. Where should I start? But again, it is a wonderful opportunity for you, because even in my situation, when I lost a fantastic manager, and I've been working with this man only for a year, and it was really tough on all of us. But maybe you are in a situation with a manager, you've been working with this man for quite a while, and maybe you would say, oh, why not? Maybe it's time for a change. And then there is your change. And so get prepared, because onboarding a new manager means a lot of work, but it's a fantastic project. And once you've done this process, you will be able to share this knowledge with some colleagues, with HR department, with all the other stakeholders in the company, and you will lay a foundation for all the other ones who might have to onboard a new executive as well. So here are my personal 10-point strategies plan for you when it comes to onboarding a new manager. Let's get started. Number 1, connect. I think it is always good if you reach out to your new manager as soon as you can. So once you have the name, once you have the contact details, just shoot him an email or shoot her an email. Please forgive me if I use the male version, but it is just easier to name it. So please forgive me for all of you out there who have a female manager. So reach out to your manager, shoot an email, welcome him in his new function. Congratulations, the team is looking forward to working with you. I will be your new assistant. Let me briefly introduce myself. Just give him some first background information on yourself. Try to set up a phone call with him, because of course it is much easier to have him on the phone, because you need to get started with the whole process. So I think this would be a fantastic idea to really set up a call with him. And you can even look him up on social media if you feel comfortable, and if you are an active social media user. Facebook is for sure not the right platform, but LinkedIn is always a good choice to check his profile on LinkedIn, to have an idea, okay, this is the man and this is a picture of him and this is his background. So it helps you also to understand his profile, to understand his background. And I think it's a nice touch to reach out to him and say, oh, by the way, I would love to connect with you over LinkedIn as well, because automatically this gives him an idea about your profile as well. And you want to showcase your skills right away. You want to show him the profile and the portfolio you're bringing into this role. So it could be really a fantastic situation also for you to actually connect with him on LinkedIn. Number 2, ask the right questions. Well, it's going to take a while until you connect with your boss and you truly understand what is your boss like, and what does he like and what does he not like. And so of course, once you have this call with him, or maybe you even have a chance to meet with him, make sure you write down a list of questions, because for sure there will be a lot of questions you need to ask him. So I just put down some ideas about the questions you could raise. So first of all, you could talk about the working style. So why don't you ask him about the way he used to work, about the things he really enjoyed about working with his former assistant, what are the things that really ran well, and maybe what are the things he really didn't like, or maybe where he sees some potential, maybe a few things he would like to try out in a different way. I think this could be a wonderful question to raise. And you could also tell him how you work. What is your working style? Are you a proactive assistant? Are you the one who likes to have one-on-one touch bases every morning? Just give him an idea how you used to work with your former boss and what style you enjoyed. Because again, it is a process for the two of you to connect and to bring your working styles together. And it goes without saying that the working style of your boss has the higher priority, but why not showing him the way you used to work and the way you used to work very successfully, because it might bring him some ideas how you could actually start your working relationship. Make sure that you don't talk too much about your former executive, like when you say something like, oh, Mr. Smith and I used to do that, or Mr. Smith and I used to do that. So I think that's a good, that's a kind of sensitive situation, not to mention the name of your former boss. So just have it in a neutral way. Just give the idea about what really worked well, and I think this could be a fantastic starting point. Meetings. I'm sure you will organize a lot of meetings for your managers. Some face-to-face meetings, some online meetings, virtual meetings, phone calls, all these various types of meetings. So ask him right away about his preferences. Maybe he likes to see his direct reports once a day, maybe once a week, maybe only every 2 weeks. Maybe he prefers phone calls when he's traveling. Maybe he prefers Skype for business sessions when he's traveling. Maybe he just only likes to see the people face to face. Does he prefer back-to-back meetings, or how should you actually schedule the meetings? What kind of system does he prefer? How should you put the meetings in his agenda? All these kind of things are pretty useful, because this would be for sure one of the major tasks you will be doing from day one. Another thing is the open door policy. I think this is also quite useful information. Some of the bosses have their doors open all the time, but it doesn't mean that everyone can go in there and disturb them. So ask for clear guidance about the open door policy. Can you interrupt him all the time, or the direct reports, or basically anyone? So I think this is some of the questions you should have on your list as well. How to prepare the mail. I mean, we all know how much letters and packages and what else is coming to an executive's office every day. Ask him about the way he would like to handle his mail. I mean, of course, you will probably be the one opening his letters, but what about the confidential mail? Does he want to have it on his desk, in a separate folder maybe? How should you deal with all these private things? Does he like to have the mail presented to him once a day or maybe every 2 days? So get a feeling about the way he would like to handle his mail and how you should proactively prepare his mail. I think this is also something that should be asked right away. Then, of course, the travels. I'm sure the executive is going to be in the air or on the train for quite a while in this situation, in this role. So every executive has their preference, and when it comes to airlines, when it comes to rental car companies, they all have their loyalty cards, and of course they want to gain their points and their miles. But make sure you give him some information about the travel policy of your company as well. So even if he is in favor of flying with only one airline, make sure that this is aligned with the travel policy. So get all the relevant information, get all those cards and frequent flyer numbers, because you can easily set up a profile for him, a travel profile. So once you have all this, you can get started. And also think about home office options. Maybe you have a manager who likes to work from home once in a while. How does this work? Does he like to organize, or basically have his agenda organized the same way as he is working from the office, like taking calls, doing virtual meetings, being available for you? So I think these are quite a few tricky things, because if he is one of those managers who work from home maybe more than once a week, then you definitely need to prepare the agenda accordingly. So the sooner you have this information, the better you can start planning all those meetings. Number 3, personal requirements. I think we all know that being an executive assistant means also that there are sometimes some personal requirements and demands. Not all of you do need to organize doctor's appointments for your bosses, but I think the majority of us had to do it in the past, and maybe they will do it also in the future. So I think it is absolutely relevant for the onboarding process that you need to know all these important information, because it helps you prepare everything relevant. So what about emergency numbers? What about the names and the contacts of relevant family members, like wives, husbands, very close family members like a brother or a sister? I think these are the first contacts you need to put in your own database. What about general private requirements? Like, does your boss say to you, okay, by the way, sometimes maybe our au pair or our nanny needs to get some guidance from you, or maybe there's a call from the lady who helps with the cleaning in the house. So these are a few things that you need to be aware of. Are these things happening? Do you expect that I will be involved in these private topics? So I think this is very important that you talk to your manager right from the beginning if he is expecting these duties from you. Or if he says, no, don't worry, you have nothing to do with it, but just be aware, this is the contact details of our au pair, and these are the contact details of the people who work for us. So I think this is quite relevant for you to get this information. Of course, your new boss needs to eat, and I'm sure he has some special wishes, maybe regarding lunch preferences as well. If you work in a company where you have a cafeteria or a canteen, Does he like to go there and eat? Does he like to meet with people from the management team to eat? Do you need to set up lunch meetings in advance? Maybe he prefers to order in. He prefers a quiet lunch all by himself in his office. Maybe he doesn't eat at all, which is basically not healthy, but maybe it is the way he works. So I think it's important to get some information on that as well, because food allergies, all these things are happening. Maybe he's a vegan, maybe he's a veggie. Is he more into coffee? Is he more into tea? I think these are the things you need to put on his profile list, that you are well prepared the moment he comes in, because you definitely need to know if he's a coffee or a tea drinker. Number 4, information package. Oh yes, now we have a lot of stuff to prepare. And I think we all know that putting a file together for a new manager is quite helpful. So I think it is a good idea to start as soon as possible to have all relevant information ready in one file. And this includes organizational charts. Of course, not only those charts he's responsible for, but of course for the whole company, that he has the whole overview. The job descriptions. This includes, of course, the job descriptions of his managers, of his direct reports. Don't forget to put your own job description into this file, because once again, it gives you a wonderful opportunity to showcase your profile. The company presentation, I'm sure he is aware of that already, but still put an updated version of the company presentation into this file as well. Of course, every company has various handbooks and guidelines. We have travel regulations, we have compliance guidelines. There are a lot of things that he needs to know and read. So this is something that needs to be put in a file as well. Then HR relevant data, salaries, headcounts. Maybe this is some information you are not allowed to see, so make sure that you reach out to the HR department and ask for this data. And of course, the latest figures and facts regarding the financial situation. This is probably something you will get from the finance department, but this is definitely something that needs to be stored in the file. And then think about the way this file should look like. Of course, it should be a binder on his desk the first day when he comes to the office. But make sure that you also have everything saved in a digital file. Because once you start working with him virtually already, you could easily send him all these information prior to his first day. So he has time to really read the stuff, to really deep dive into the stuff, maybe have some first questions, and you can help him onboarding this much more easier when you send him the stuff as soon as possible. Number 5, stakeholders and meetings. Well, once you know how he likes to work and how he likes to meet with all these managers and all these other staff members, you can easily start setting up first meetings and first phone calls. So it is wonderful, because once you have his IT profile installed and you have access to his agenda, you can easily send out all these invites from his agenda already, because then the team knows, okay, you are preparing the onboarding process and you start inviting for the first meeting series, and everyone knows, okay, now we get started and new boss would like to have it this way or that way. So I think this is a good start for you, because it's going to mean for you that there is a lot of extra work, because setting up all these new meeting series and meeting schedules is quite a hot topic, and the sooner you can get started, the better it is. So start communicating with the direct reports of your boss and set up the meeting schedule. Make them aware of your call, of your talk with your boss. Inform them transparently that your new manager would like to have a meeting schedule like this or like that. Identify relevant stakeholders. Think about the right people you need to involve when you start planning these meetings. And also think of the other key people in the organization that needs to connect with your manager, like project managers, the people who work on very important projects where your new manager might be a supervisor of. Of course, the HR people is always crucial. So these are people he needs to meet quite early. Don't forget to pay attention to hierarchy levels. So when you start setting up meetings, make sure that you put them in the right order. And then don't forget to schedule your own meetings. I think it is a wonderful opportunity to put your daily or weekly touch base meetings in the agenda as well. Because then from day one you have this meeting series in your agenda with your manager. And I think it's an important step that he really sees the commitment you have, that you need to talk to him as well. Number 6, lunch dates. Socializing. This is a major topic where you can easily support your new manager, because you are the one who is aware of these people in the company, and you are the one who knows, okay, my boss needs to meet this person and he needs to meet that person. And it is a wonderful opportunity to be a helping hand and to build the bridges for your manager, because you do know the key persons, and you do know who he needs to shake hands with, and you do know who he needs some more time to talk to, maybe. So set up a plan and think about who are these people. So again, here we have the hierarchy level. That's quite important. Even if your boss is going to deal with the managers of the company, it is important that he needs to know the name and the face of the receptionist and the janitor. And so this is something you should set up as well when you have your boss coming to the office the first day. Make sure that you do introduce him to these people as well. Again, the HR people, and if your company has a works council, of course these members should be also on the list for a lunch or a coffee talk. Then general lunch meetings with a management team. I think it is quite important to ask him if he maybe once a month would like to install a team lunch, or maybe he would like to eat lunch with his managers on a one-on-one basis. So this is something you could easily ask in one of your first calls. Clients, investors, press people, whenever they are in the company or whenever there's an opportunity when your boss travels, make sure that he gives you the right information, how often he would like to have lunch or dinner with these people. I think this is also something you should have on your mind when scheduling the first travels for your boss. And again, why not arranging a lunch for you as well? Especially maybe in the first weeks when you help to get in touch with your manager, when you help him to get introduced to all these new faces to him in the company. I think it could be easy to spend a few lunch dates with him in the cafeteria or the canteen, because you could easily just bring him over to a few tables and introduce him. Number 7, involve relevant departments. Such an onboarding process is a huge amount of work. And of course, you cannot do everything by yourself. You need some helping hands, and that's absolutely okay. Just make sure you know these strategic partners, because you need to reach out to them as soon as you can. They will help you in the onboarding process, because it is crucial, because it is definitely a must to delegate, because there are a few things you simply cannot organize yourself. And I've written down a few ideas that basically show that you need to delegate a few things. So let's talk about the facility and purchasing department. Like when your boss, if this is part of his contract, is supposed to get a company car, for sure you are not going to be the one who is going to order that car. So this is something that needs to be done right away. So reach out to the right people in your company. What about all the relevant IT equipment? Of course, the IT department is your number one contact person in that case. So whenever it comes to the laptop, the mobile phone, and all the other special wishes regarding any gadgets, they will for sure help you order it or even order it for your manager. Private and confidential documents when it comes to insurance and benefits, regulations and agreements, which are part of the contract of your manager. So the HR department for sure will be involved in that as well. And then, of course, if you have a travel department in your company, once you start gathering all those travel information around your manager, I'm sure they're going to set up the travel profile, or you can do it depending on the policy, of course, in your company. Number 8, so we have day 1, and this is the big day when your boss is actually joining you on his first day of work. So this is usually a very exciting day. Everyone is nervous. The new boss is coming in, and some of them have not seen him before. Some of them have only read about him and have just heard about him. And so this is a very important day for everyone. So of course you will be also a very important player that day, because make sure you set up everything for this day 1, and there's a lot to do. So here's my list what you should have in mind. Of course, the office needs to be cleaned, so reach out to the cleaning company a few days before and make sure that everything is absolutely spotless. All IT related things needs to be there and installed. Just imagine phone, computer, tablet, mobile phone, headset, or whatever is out there needs to be ready, and it needs to function properly. So you could easily set up the desk and arrange the office supplies, that he has everything what he needs to get started. You could think about a welcome gift for him. You could add a personalized card from the team. Think about some flowers he might like for his new office, or some chocolate. So I think it would be a wonderful gesture when he sees this nice surprise when he enters the office. Once he's there, you can offer him an office tour and help him with introductions, help him with faces and names. I think this would be a nice touch if you just walk with him on his first office tour. And then, of course, lunch needs to be arranged on that day as well. Maybe he would like to sit with the management. Maybe you just take him out for lunch, show him around, show him the canteen, show him the company environment. So whatever is good for him is good for you, but make sure that you offer him a few ideas. And then we have number 9, become a benchmark. And yeah, this basically means that you made it. You had a wonderful onboarding process planned, and you created lots of wonderful ideas for this onboarding process. So it is super important that you don't keep this wonderful information by yourself. No, please go out, share it with other assistants, share it with the HR department, because you've been doing an amazing job and it was a lot of work. And why not giving these information out to others who will be easily benefiting from this information. So when you think about the templates you used or created, when you think about the contacts you used to onboard your boss, best practice information, what went right, what went wrong. Maybe there were a few things you said, okay, maybe I should have done it this way, or maybe I should have done it better. Share some feedback you received from your colleagues, because they are all involved in such an onboarding process. I think it's also quite vital to get some feedback from them, because this could be a big help for others to organize an onboarding process. And then we have number 10, And this is the favorite one because it's all about relaxation. Yes, you did it. Congratulations. What a huge project. First of all, you managed such an amazing onboarding process just next to your normal job. And I'm sure this was a lot of work. So it is now time to really sit back and relax and just wait what's happening next. I think your boss has a wonderful idea now about your work, because you mastered such an amazing project. So he knows what an amazing assistant he has, and I'm sure he will think about some first interesting projects to bring you on board and help you grow in your role. But basically preparing such a big onboarding process and bringing your manager in touch with the right people, build bridges, help him socializing. This really shows the quality of your leadership. And this big project is really a project for a leader, because you need all your emotional intelligence, you need all your expertise and experience to master such a project. So be proud of yourself. Make sure you reach out to the people who helped you. Maybe organize a lunch with them together. Say thank you for your support. Thank you for your help. And I think this is one of the qualities you should show and should bring back to your team, because it's really a team effort. Although, of course, you are the main project leader of such a project, but too many people were involved. So it means saying thank you to all these wonderful supporting hands. And by knowing that it is vital to say thank you, this shows me also leadership skills. So be proud, and hopefully you're gonna stick to that boss for a while. I'm sure it will be a fruitful relationship, and you will learn a lot from a new manager. And just be ready, be proactive, dive into all these wonderful new opportunities, and I'm sure it will be a wonderful journey. So here we are. As I said, be proactive, take the lead of the onboarding process, involve all the relevant stakeholders and departments, and finally become a benchmark and help others to set up a wonderful onboarding process. You could easily mentor and guide other assistants after you've successfully managed such a big project. And there you have another wonderful project, being a mentor, being a coach, being a guide. And I think this will give you even more qualities for your own skill set and your own skill list. So once you completed this wonderful onboarding process, make sure you write it down. Make sure you write down your achievements, write down what went right, what went wrong, and just be prepared for any kind of situation that might come within the next years. So thank you so much for joining me for AdminChat for this webinar session on how to onboard a new manager. For those of you who have not reached out to me yet, please find my contact details here. Please visit my blog as well. Reach out to me if you have any further questions. Maybe this onboarding situation is coming sooner than you think. If you need any personal advice, please reach out to me. I'm happy to answer some additional questions to you. And other than that, wish you good luck and enjoy this wonderful project. And yeah, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.